Have you been curious about 75 Hard and the Live Hard program? If so, we got you. Hi, I'm Jen. If you're new here, I'm delighted to meet you. And today I have a guest. This is also Jen. We have been besties since we were 15 years old, which was a really, really long time ago. So the first thing we'll talk about today is what is 75 Hard and maybe why you should consider doing it. So Jen, why don't you tell everyone what you have to do if you're doing 75 Hard?
Okay, so there's different things that you have to do for 75 days, and you have to do a gallon of water, read 10 pages of a non-fiction book. You can't do audio. Follow a diet, no cheats, no alcohol. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts, and one of them has to be outside. Take a photo every single day. Is that it?
That's it. Those are the 5 tasks for 75 Hard. So it sounds kind of simple and it sounds like it's a fitness challenge, but believe me, it is not. It is neither of those. It is absolutely a mental toughness challenge more than anything, because I mean, just having to work out outside every day. How many times did we have to work out in the rain, in a tornado?
Hailing, sleet, snow. We went through almost every weather. I'll also say, like, you realize how many times you try to tell yourself excuses like, I don't want to, or it's too hard. And you really have to like rewire your brain of how you think and how you talk to yourself, really.
100%. And that's why it's a mental toughness challenge, because you learn how to do that.
Sure.
We're jumping ahead a bit. We'll get into this, but I mean, you're a different person after you complete this. So first, let's talk about tips for people that are going to consider doing this. Now, one thing that we did was about 2 weeks before we started, we kind of started practicing a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I would say we were very intimidated. So we're like, we do not want to mess up. Let's know everything that we have to know, every detail. So yes, we got the 75 Hard book, which is not required, but it was definitely helpful for us. There's a lot of like different tips and tricks. So we read that before we started. We started practicing our gallon of water, and then really just like figuring out our diet. Like we wanted to make sure that we knew, okay, what was not, what was crossing the line, so that we had this specific guideline that we knew whether we were cheating or not.
So back to the book, that is really only available through Andy Frisella's website. He's the creator of 75 Hard. There are some books on Amazon, but they're not the book. So just be leery of that. It's probably not the right one if you're looking on Amazon. So look at his website and make sure it's the right one if you're going to get it. It is useful. It talks about all the steps that we're discussing today, but it also talks about like how you're going to feel at week 2, how you're going to feel at week 4. So you kind of know like, okay, week 7 is miserable, but it's kind of miserable for everyone. It's not just me.
Sure.
So that can be helpful. You were talking about the diet. So what I did for my diet was a carnivore diet. So anything that was not an animal product would have been a cheat for me. So I knew, is this a cheat or not? And what did you do for your diet?
The first one I did, I actually had a paid meal plan prep thing written out for me. So I just followed that. And then I specifically paid attention to my protein and kept my sugar below 25 grams, as well as kind of measuring out different everything else, carbs and veggies and
so you
proteins.
can do, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
So you can do any diet that you care to do. I mean, it can't be like a Snicker bar diet, because that would be cheating always. Like no cheats as in no junk food and no alcohol. But whatever you're gonna do, you better like it, because it's for 75 days.
I would say some other big tips for being successful overall is, one, really going in with the mindset of, I'm not just gonna try this and see how far I get, but like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna commit, and I'm gonna complete it. And so really having that mindset. For us, having a partner, someone that you can check in every day and be like, okay, where are you at? How are you struggling? How are you feeling? Because there was multiple days that were like, okay, this sucks, I don't want to do it. And the other person's like, no, we got this, we can do it. You know, it went back and forth. It was always like when someone was having a good day, the other person was struggling. And so it was so good to know that someone was suffering with you, especially in some of the other phases. But yeah, because some days are just hard. So
yeah, and if you mess up at any point during the 75
Yeah.
days, you have to start over from day 1. There is no like, oh, well, I skipped today and then I have to redo today. No. You start over completely. And I remember at the beginning, within our first few days, your husband asked, well, what's your plan if you have to start over? And we were like, what? We will not be starting over. We will absolutely be finishing.
And the reason is because we had a vacation coming when we ended, and there was no way I wanted to be on this during our vacation. So I was like, we are not messing. I'm not starting back over. So we checked in 2 or 3 times a day with each other, just seeing how we were doing. And I'd say like I was obsessed with checking on that app, like, okay, am I missing anything? And I would check it before I went to bed, and so to kind of keep you accountable.
So let's talk about the app. It's a $5 download. It's one time $5, and it is worth every penny. So I mean, you can do this on paper if you want, but having an app where you can cross off things as you do them, you can take for your daily photo, you can take it right in the app. You can also make notes in there, and you can go back and look at all your old photos, and you can also set reminders. I just learned this morning.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I definitely did that.
Yeah, so it's very, very helpful. Definitely get that.
And then I would say the last huge tip is just plan out your day. When you wake up in the morning, decide what your schedule is, what you have for the day, and then figure out when you're doing your outdoor workout. Check the weather app like we talked. We had multiple days that's like, okay, it's gonna rain at this time, so I gotta do my workout here, so that means I have to do another workout at this time. We had multiple times that it'd be like 10 o'clock, we're like, oh, we gotta chug 30 ounces of water or go outside in the cold and dark and do our outdoor workout. So when you wake up in the morning, just figure out when you're gonna do stuff. And really, the more you can do before noon, the better. That way you have less to plan for the afternoon. So those are kind of the key things for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree about the planning, and then knowing that some days things are not going to go as planned. Some emergency is going to come up, you're going to miss your workout, or the weather just took a completely different shift or whatever, but you just have to do it anyway. You have to figure it out. So once we were in Oklahoma, we were traveling, so it was already hard to get everything done, and we were at dinner. And after dinner, we were gonna go back to the hotel and do our workout. Well, then there was a tornado, so we had to go down to the basement.
The sirens went off. Everyone in the whole restaurant had to go down to the basement, and we're like, we don't know how long we're gonna be here, but let's go ahead and set our clock and start working our 45 minutes. And so, I don't know if that's appropriate to say, but we were doing like incline push-ups on like giant kegs in the basement. We were doing squats, and we were walking around the place and
jumping jacks.
Yeah, we were doing push-ups. Like we were doing all these different things, which we ended up not counting it because we ended up going back to the hotel and doing our full workout with weights. But
so the tornado cleared, so we were able to leave, and we'd only done like 25 minutes of the workout. So that's not completing it.
Right.
We had to stop and start over. So anytime you have to stop something and start over, like an outdoor workout, let's say you have to come in and poop. Been there. You have to start over. So you've got to plan these things ahead. This is a little TMI kind of on the poop subject, but let's say you're in your indoor workout and you've got to stop and poop. I mean, you better be doing some bicep curls on the toilet then, because you don't get to stop and start. Everything is black and white. You did it or you didn't do it.
Sure.
And so you've got to just keep that mindset.
Yeah, especially when you're drinking a lot of water and you're stuck outside, you're like, you know, yeah, you learn. You learn to suffer through the pain.
As far as planning out the water, I know you have one container that you just keep refilling all day, and then you put...
It kind of depends. I definitely recommend getting either a half-gallon jug or a gallon, just so you can either figure out like, okay, and carry it around with you, or you can get smaller ones sometimes depending on what I'm doing for the day. Sometimes I'll get like a smaller one and just mark it with different rubber bands, and I'll take off the rubber bands once I complete the whole jug. So it kind of depends.
I'm more annoyed by carrying the big jugs, so I have
does get
this, and then another one about this size, and then another one bigger, and I just know I have to drink all of those during the day to complete my gallon. So if I'm gonna fill up a different container, I'll try to pour the water from here, or if I'm going to a restaurant, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I'll try to be like, okay, this glass is 16 ounces. I try to pay very, very close attention to how much I drank. And if I think it was maybe 40 ounces at the restaurant, I'll just say it was 30, something like that, just lowball it, and then dump out 30 ounces from my containers. And I mean, it's a pain in the butt.
That gets very tricky. So just get yourself a half-gallon or a gallon jug, and you can use it to put in different containers, but it makes it so much easier if you could just fill it up once and be like, okay, I'm done for the day. Yeah. Especially if you're doing different size containers, that's too complicated. I make sure I get one size, and I just know exactly, okay, I have to drink 4 of these or 5 of these, depending on which size I do. But
so clearly there are multiple methods, and you can do whatever you like. Now that is 75 hard. So you have to follow a diet with no cheats and no alcohol whatsoever, no taste of alcohol or anything. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. You have to read 10 pages of nonfiction, but specifically on personal development or entrepreneurship or something like that.
Can't listen to it.
No audiobooks, exactly. Yep. You can do an ebook, but it's like you have to be able to read it. And once you start a book, you have to finish it.
Yeah.
And then number 4, you have to take a daily progress photo of yourself. You don't have to do it in any certain clothing or anything like that, but I typically do it in a bathing suit. You do it in your...
I usually do sports bra and underwear sometimes.
So another tip we didn't say, I know we both do, we try to take our photo at the beginning of the day. Just get that done with when you're first getting dressed. And then the fifth thing is to work out twice a day, every day for 45 minutes each time consecutively. One must be outside, and they can't be back to back. It can't be like you just worked out 90 minutes. It's got to be 45 minutes, take a long break. So we usually say, 3 hours between, and then your next workout. So that's 75 hard, and that's why it will change your life, because it is hard to do those things day in and day out, and it gets old. But not only did it strengthen our fortitude and our resolve and our belief in ourselves that we can do hard things, but it strengthened our friendship because we did it together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's just surprising how many excuses you try to come up with or what. I mean, you learn a lot about yourself for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely, after finishing that for the first time, I could do anything.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with setbacks and do it anyway.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to, like you said, restart a workout or whatever, but you just have to have this mindset of I'm not going to cheat. I'm just going to do it. And like I said, it helps having someone else. You can be like, oh my gosh, this sucks. I have to redo this or whatever. And then it just makes it way better knowing someone's going through it with you.
If you don't have an accountability partner, you can still do it, but it is much better if you can get yourself one. So most people have heard of 75 hard. Not a lot of people have heard of live hard. That is when you do 75 hard, and then you do phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So we'll discuss each of those phases, but each of them is 30 days. And they're completed, the whole thing is completed where if you started 75 hard on January 1st, you would end phase 3 on December 31st. It takes 1 calendar year to complete it. So phase 1, you can start immediately after 75 hard if you like, or you can take a month or 2 months. You can take however much time off you want as long as there's still room to complete the other phases. But there's more stipulations here, so don't get too excited about that yet. And phase 1 is all of those 75 hard tasks we discussed, plus 10 minutes of visualization every day where you're just close your eyes, think about the life you want, the business, the relationship, the body, however you want to do that. You're visualizing that thing that you want, those things that you want. And also a 5-minute cold shower every day, as cold as you can get it. It's the pits. And then the other thing that you have to add is 3 powerless tasks, which are basically things that you choose for yourself that are going to move your life forward. So it can be prayer time, meditation, something related to your business. What other examples can you think of?
I mean, it could be family related. I'm going to put my phone down at a meal time, or have 10, 15 minutes of individual time with each of your kids or your spouse. Something you want to learn and create a habit within.
Yeah, that's really the trick. It's something that you want to make into a habit. And I think it's helpful to really think about your values. So in 75 hard, you talked about really thinking of your why and being strong and why you're doing this. And that's going to help you overcome the excuses when you don't want to do it. But when you're thinking of your powerless tasks and you don't know what to do, think about your values. If they're your faith, your family, your friendships, your fitness, those all start with F, that's interesting. Then make your powerless tasks around those things. Because the idea is not only is this going to move you forward in these 30 days, but these things will also hopefully become habits for you to carry forward even after phase 1.
I think this phase, it was really good. We had already picked up a lot of tips doing 75 hard for 75 days. So we kind of knew, okay, do one of your workouts in the morning and get that water done. And so you kind of learn a lot through trial and error, I would say. But the shower was definitely pretty challenging for us. And so we've definitely learned a few tricks, I feel like, over doing that for 30 days. This one's 30 days. And so for me, you may have some different thoughts, but I do warm, and then I do a 5 minutes, so I set my timer, and then I do hot afterwards. And one thing I will say about a timer is just get a cheap timer and put it in a Ziploc bag and keep it in the shower with you so you can see it and you can hear it buzz, because I actually had a timer fail and I didn't realize it till midday. I thought about it and I was actually listening to some music, so I realized I don't think that was a full 5 minutes. And the more I thought about it, I was like, I have to be sure. So I had to take a second 5-minute cold shower, and I told myself, I was like, this will never happen again. I didn't like cold showers anyway, so to do 2 of them was pretty brutal, but that's how you learn. So
Yep.
keep your timer in a little baggie and put it in there with you. We've talked about this. We typically like to brush our teeth because that takes 2 minutes while you're standing in the cold. And I like to listen to fast music so I can dance, just try to like get some blood flowing. Yeah, do you have any other tips for the shower time?
Just get through it. It is the pits. People say, oh, they're so wonderful once you get used to them, and there's all these benefits. They are the worst. They never get better. They always, always suck.
You have to really focus on your breathing because sometimes, I mean, it hurts. It'll take your breath away. I mean, it's like, you have to really focus. It's intense.
And it's up to you if you want to like wash your hair and stuff in the cold. I usually don't because it's so painful. So I maybe do all that during the warm water, then get conditioner in there, let it soak in during the cold, cold, terrible 5 minutes. And then when it's warm again, then I rinse it.
Yeah.
But I definitely brush my teeth. That is the most helpful thing. Sometimes I'll brush my teeth twice because the automatic toothbrush just goes for 2 minutes and you just sit there and shiver and suffer while you're brushing your teeth.
That's true. That's true.
And FYI, all these phases are also in the app. So you don't have to buy anything else. It's just part of the app. And again, you can start phase 1 immediately after 75 hard if you want to. So then it would end up being 105 days in a row. Or we took a little break for a month maybe. I think we both probably had a vacation or something. And so we took a little break and then we picked back up. And it was harder, I think, with the extra tasks. And by the way, you can't double duty like your visualization and your shower. They've kind of got to be separate things. So be careful not to cut corners there. But yeah, it was hard. And so then phase 2 is only the 75 hard tasks. Back to those 5 things: water, read, photo, diet, exercise. But the trick with that is you have to take at least 30 days off after phase 1 and then go into phase 2. So for some people, it's really hard to stop and start again, but we stopped and started again anyway. So I don't feel like that was any extra harder for us. That was the easiest phase because it was only 30 days. We'd already killed it with 75 hard in phase 1. Wouldn't you say that was definitely the easiest?
It felt easy, especially since we didn't have to do cold showers. And by that time we had already done a few rounds of it. So we kind of already knew like, okay, these are tips and tricks. This is what we do. Just knock it out as much as you can before noon and just deal with it. So yeah, it didn't seem that hard.
Yeah, but then came phase 3.
Which we're currently in.
Yeah, so let me just say real quick, finding information on 75 hard is not that difficult. There's the book and then there are some podcasts, but finding information about details for the other phases is really, really hard. So hopefully you'll find this YouTube video helpful because what do you say? It was kind of a struggle.
Yeah, so we read lots of different blogs to try to figure out more details because it was kind of more like, here it is, but not very specific. And we're like, we want to make sure we're not cutting corners. So,
but then phase 3, which we are, today is day 27 for us. We've got today and then 3 more days. By the time this video goes live, we'll be done. Woohoo! We'll celebrate early. This phase is everything from 75 hard, plus the 3 power tasks, which we both chose new ones, I think. You can choose the same ones or you can choose new ones. And you have to have a conversation with a stranger every day. And you have to do a random act of kindness every day.
And your 5-minute shower.
Yeah. I wish that wasn't in there. I blocked it out. That's why I forgot it. The 5-minute cold shower. Oh, and this phase has to start 30 days before when you started 75 hard. So again, if you started 75 hard January 1st, you have to start phase 3 December 2nd or 3rd, whatever day that would be that you end phase 3 on December 31st. Like it has to be end 1 year on your anniversary. If I'm saying this, I'm saying it in a weird way, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we have known for months when we had to start this. And unfortunately, that meant it had to start in February in Kansas when it's freaking cold.
Because when we originally planned on doing 75, we were not planning on doing Live Hard. We were just going to do 75 days. I think we would have planned it out differently, knowing we would have finished the last phase during winter, which we were not prepared for.
We didn't even know Live Hard existed.
Sure.
So that's why we were like, oh, we'll start in the spring and then we'll just have like the early summer and it'll be great.
Yeah. Because cold showers in the winter are definitely worse than in the summer.
Than they were in phase 1 by far. And so again, we had a couple months before we were starting phase 3. And for a long time, you were really wavering, like saying you didn't want to do it. And I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it, Jim. We're going to do it. And then it came time to do it. And I mean, for a week or two before it was time to start, I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have to tell her I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, except she didn't tell me. And so I reached out to you, the day before we started? I said, okay, what book are you reading? And something, I'll ask you another question of that. And then you're like, do I tell you I'm not going to do it or just pretend like I am and not do it? I'm like, what? Like, oh my gosh, I had so many emotions. I was so mad. I actually did cry a little bit. I was like, oh, I can't believe she's just gonna, we only have 30 days left. Because for me, I knew it was either now or never. I probably will not do this whole year program again. I think we'll probably do some sort of 75 hard again. But I was like, I can't do cold shower. I mean, it's not as fun to do cold showers if you're suffering by yourself. And so like, yeah, I went through all kinds of emotions that day. And then I finally was like, okay, I have to decide for myself. Like, I can't do it because someone else is doing it. I have to, like, this has to be for myself. And so I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. Although I don't think I would have completed it. I really don't. Cold showers are brutal. I struggle.
They are so brutal. And from my perspective of how this all went down, I had decided completely I am not doing it. I told you, you were very upset, and that was really hard for me because this is my best friend. I don't want to upset her. And I said, I remember saying the words, all of the other phases, the 75 hard and phase 1 and phase 2, they made my life better. But now I'm so busy creating all this content for carnivore stuff and just like, I don't even have time to do the things I need to do already. This is going to make my life worse. And then a couple hours later, you said to me, I don't think you should do it.
I did. Well, at that point, I had already processed all through the day. And I said, you know what? You can't make someone do it, you know? And that kind of goes back to the beginning. Like, if you don't have a strong why, your own personal self, you won't make it. Like, honestly. So I just decided, you know what? I have to do it for myself.
Well, when you said, I don't think I should do it, I think that was the turning point for me of like, what? Why? And you said, well, look, think back what you said. And what I said was, this will make my life worse. This will negatively impact my life. And then it was almost like challenge accepted, but it was also like, it was mostly because I wanted to do it for you, honestly.
Sure.
But it couldn't be like, okay, well, I'm going to try for you. It was either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. So at that moment, I was going to do it. Like, okay, for I guess the next 30 days is going to be the worst 30 days of my life, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then turns out it has been absolutely the most impactful phase for me because I've had to overcome so much. I mean, all of those other phases were so rewarding and really hard too, but this was the one that I really had to overcome my mind. I was certain I could not do it. And I was really struggling before this to schedule my days and figure out how to get everything done I needed to do. And now I'm adding to it hours and hours of tasks. But it's like, it's made me have to be more planned, more structured in my day, more efficient, more absolutely, more intentional, all of those things. And so it's like compounded my life in the best ways. It's just been actually really great. And you felt a little more like, this sucks. I've
had mixed emotions. I have felt like, I'm just ready to be done with it. And a lot of the things don't really seem that hard. And I had said this too, which is funny to say, but I'm actually thankful for the cold showers because all these other tasks we have learned to do them well. Like, over doing them so many times, you kind of learn like how to navigate your day, how to get things done. And without the cold shower, it wouldn't feel as hard or as brutal. Like, you're really accomplishing something. And so as hard as it is to say, I think the cold showers, I'm thankful for them because they make this definitely, you feel very hoorah after. You're like, yes, we did it. We suffered through. We got it done.
Yeah, I am not thankful for the cold showers. They're the bane of my existence. But when we're actually done with this and we only have to take warm showers, it will be so wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that day.
There have been multiple nights, especially in phase 1, where I would have stress dreams. Like, I was so like, oh no, I messed up this and did this, and now I have to tell Jen. And like, it was always such a, and then I just had another one recently for this one. So I've had a few stress dreams because you're so determined of not messing up, especially for your friend who has your back and you're doing this together. So it's been fun.
It's been incredible, horrible, wonderful, all the things.
Sure.
But definitely, I mean, we were already into sort of self-improvement and stuff for the last decade or something. And that's been a great thing about our friendship. That's things we've worked on together. But this has been the most profound, definitely. I would not take it back. It's been so wonderful. I don't know if we'll ever do the whole year program again, like you said, but I'm so glad we did it, and I'm so glad that I had you to do it.
I know. Would not have been able to complete it without you for sure.
Oh. So 3 more days, we'll be done. But if you're considering doing this, like Jen said, figure out your why and then figure out your time and do it. And it's gonna suck, but it's gonna be the best thing you ever did. Just like here in a minute, we have to go walk in the pouring rain and it's really cold. So that sucks. If you're thinking about doing it and you have any questions, leave those in the comments. We would be so happy to help you any way we can. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and check me out on Instagram. We can interact there every single day.
3 days later.
So we just finished. How do you feel about it?
I feel amazing. I'm so glad not to take cold showers.
And also working out in the cold is pretty miserable, but today's not so bad. We're bundled and suffering in the cold isn't so bad with a friend.
It is below freezing though, so it is cold.
Very, but I'm feeling super accomplished, so excited we did this, especially we did it together. And I'm so grateful for you.
Yay! Should we show our shirts?
Oh yeah, let's show our shirts. It's gonna take me a minute. I got a lot of jackets.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like a.
It's like now this is the new end of the video. So I gotta say, if you liked it, you should like and subscribe. And thank you, Jen, for joining me for the video and for today and for this challenge. And we talked about we could do another video at some point of just like tips for the different phases and different activities within the phases. So we'll do that on a separate video soon. Stay tuned. Thanks, guys. Oh, that is so cute. What you got there?